Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to be looking at an invisible force that literally dictates our survival, our architecture, and our technology. I'm talking about sound. The science of acoustics is absolutely wild, mostly because it's constantly shaping our reality, often without us even realizing it's there. We've got a lot of fascinating ground to cover today. We'll start with the origins of acoustics, move into the anatomy of sound, check out the art of acoustical engineering, and finally wrap up with sound beyond human limits. Let's get into it. Section 1, the origins of acoustics, uncovering the ancient science. It's actually mind-blowing to see how ancient thinkers cracked the mathematical code of this invisible force long before modern tools even existed. You see, the study of acoustics isn't some new thing. It's a truly ancient science. It evolved over thousands of years, starting out as abstract philosophy and slowly transforming into the rigorous physics we use today. We're talking the 6th century BCE with Pythagoras, 20 BCE with Vitruvius, all the way up to Galileo in the 17th century. Picture this. It's the 6th century BCE. And the philosopher Pythagoras realizes that something as beautiful and emotional as a musical chord is actually just simple math. He figured out that vibrating strings that sound harmonious together just express simple mathematical integer ratios. Pluck a string, then pluck one exactly half its length, and boom, perfect harmony. Our brains are just hardwired to love that 2-to-3 ratio. And then there's the Roman architect Vitruvius around 20 BCE. He was already writing about theater acoustics and describing sound as 3D waves breaking around obstructions. He used ascending seating to stop sound from deteriorating. And get this, he literally placed mathematically tuned bronze vessels, called icha, among the seats just to resonate harmonious notes. That is ancient engineering at its absolute finest. Fast forward to the 17th century, and Galileo Galilei really bridges the gap between physics and biology. He figured out that waves are produced by the vibrations of a sonorous body, which spread through the air, bringing to the tympanum of the ear a stimulus which the mind interprets as sound. He realized it's all just mechanical movement hitting our eardrums. All right, moving on to Section 2, the anatomy of sound, the physics of the invisible. Let's look at the actual fundamental physical behaviors of these waves.
We all know this feeling, right? You walk into an empty, unfurnished room or a huge cathedral, you clap your hands, and echo! Well, technically, that's reverberation. It's the persistence of sound caused by repeated boundary reflections after the source of the sound stops. The initial noise is gone, but the physical waves just keep bouncing around until they run out of energy.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Sound doesn't just travel in a straight line and stop the second it hits a wall. Through diffraction, which is the bending of sound waves around surfaces in the path of the wave, sound actually wraps around obstacles. That's exactly why you can hear someone calling your name from around the corner of a building, even if you can't see them at all. Now, it is totally wild to think that our human hearing, which detects audio frequencies from roughly 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, covering all our speech and music, is just a tiny slice of the pie. We are surrounded by inaudible frequencies. There are ultrasonic waves above 20,000 hertz and infrasonic waves below 20 hertz roaring all around us. We just don't have the biological hardware to tune into them. And to grasp just how miraculously sensitive our ears actually are to our specific range, think about the number 9. The threshold of human hearing is a staggering 9 orders of magnitude smaller than ambient atmospheric pressure. Let that sink in for a second. Our eardrums are picking up impossibly tiny fluctuations in the air. Section 3. The art of acoustical engineering, bending sound to our will. So how do engineers actually manipulate this invisible force to either silence our noisy modern world or beautifully amplify it? Think of it like a mini story of a sound wave's journey. It happens in 5 distinct steps. First, there's a cause. Second, transduction turns that into sonic energy. Third, wave propagation moves it through a medium, like the air. Fourth, transduction happens all over again at the receiver. And fifth, the effect, like your brain registering a melody. The sheer scale of this engineering field is massive. Engineers work in aeroacoustics, hushing roaring aircraft and wind turbines. They work in audio signal processing, compressing massive files into MP3s.
They do architectural acoustics for concert halls, environmental noise control, electroacoustics for your smartphone speakers, and psychoacoustics, which is all about human perception. So, depending on the goal, an engineer's toolkit completely changes. Want to enhance sound? You use architectural acoustics to build something breathtaking like the Walt Disney Concert Hall. Need to silence sound? You use noise control to put up massive highway barriers. Want to manipulate sound? You dive into psychoacoustics to perfectly tune how a car door closure sounds. You know that satisfying premium thud when you close a luxury car door? Yeah, an engineer specifically designed that. The real unsung heroes in all this, especially the digital stuff, are transducers. A transducer is just a device for converting one form of energy into another, like sound energy into electrical energy. You use them constantly. Your phone's microphone turns your physical voice into an electrical signal, and the speaker on the other end turns that signal right back into a physical wave. But here's the catch with something like psychoacoustics. The human listener is the final arbitrator as to whether a design is successful. It doesn't matter if the math on the whiteboard is absolutely flawless. If a surround sound system sounds artificial or annoying to a real, live human ear, the design is a bust. The psychology of the listener is everything. Finally, Section 4, Sound Beyond Human Limits, the Extremes of Acoustics. We are pushing past human hearing entirely now. The contrast here is just incredible. On one hand, you have underwater acoustics, using sonar to locate massive submerged submarines in pitch-black oceans and even observe climate change. And on the exact opposite end, you have medical ultrasonics, using ultra-high-frequency sound waves to safely view a delicate 12-week fetus developing inside the womb. Sound is doing both of those things. Which leads us to a pretty fascinating question. Long before sonar or ultrasounds, how did our prehistoric ancestors use sound? How did they interact with acoustics before any of this technology existed? Well, a field called archaeoacoustics has the answers. Researchers testing prehistoric sites like St. Michael's Cave have revealed that sound was literally used for echolocation and ritualistic spiritual awakenings. Early humans knew exactly how powerful sound was, using the dynamic echoes in deep caves to navigate and using intense resonance to trigger profound, trance-like states. So, I want to leave you with this thought as we wrap up this explainer. If our ancestors used invisible acoustics to trigger spiritual awakenings, and we use it today to literally see inside the human body, what other invisible forces are shaping our reality right now without us even noticing?